Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at a crazy carry game in the Tier 5 Soviet cruiser, Kirov. The map is Fault Line, and I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed playing it. It was a crazy back and forth. It needed a lot of carry, and this happened at the beginning of 8.0, so the aircraft carriers are still very much a novelty item in this game, but hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's not really important that the carriers are good or bad, honestly, and my interaction with the carriers is not really that big of a deal. So, enemy Minikaze is, of course, spotted out by the Podvoisky, and I'm trying to contribute some damage towards him. And we're getting very little damage, which is alright, but there's no real risk to my ship, because there's a bunch of enemy ships that are really far away, so there's nothing lost unless we just try our best. And I'm able to contribute 2,000 more damage, which then a friendly follows up and finishes off the target. Note, no one else was in range. That was an example of a DD that just wanted to kill himself in the first minute of the game. Far be it from me to decide someone's fate, since they've already decided for them. And we've got an advantage, but I've got to back up for this island because I did end up running almost smack into it to get that last little shot assistance. Now, the Kirov. The Kirov is an interesting ship. It's a Tier 5. It has 180mm guns at Tier 5. It's technically a light cruiser, but it's a light cruiser that has some punching power. And you will see against certain ships, you know, maybe the Omaha or the Phoenix, any of these light cruisers that are at tier 3, 4, 5, 6-ish, they have really low armor. This one will really enjoy shooting them because they have just enough penetration to get inside the citadel and then stick. So we're going to move forward. We got a couple friendlies. Friendly Podvoisky is sitting in his own smoke on the corner of an island, providing absolutely no spotting information whatsoever, and could very well be absorbing torpedoes. Looks like, luckily, fortunately, no torpedo was sent directly towards him. But still on the table. There's an enemy Carl, there's another enemy DD, and there's a battleship. Now, I would love for one of these DDs to scout the targets before I actually round the island, so I could do safe damage. That's what I was really hoping for in this situation. And I wish that there was more to encourage that type of DD play. I wish that the game rewarded it more with, I don't know, some sort of blueprint or XP or whatever to really get you the active spotting on different targets. Not necessarily the damage towards the target, but just active spotting is a benefit because it tells you roughly where the enemy is going to be located. And it's not really rewarded. It's only rewarded if a teammate successfully damages the target. But that's not the most important thing. Enemy Carl, obviously, is taking a little bit of damage. I think we caused a fire either on him or another target, so I was trying to look for a follow-up fire, because even though he's a cruiser, and if he uses damage control, fires should definitely stick. Get a little bit more damage. Alright. Could potentially switch to AP for that salvo, and the one after it. Don't know that it's really necessary, though, considering the target is out in the open and basically going to die. He's just... There's nothing he could do. He can't drop off detection because he's too close to the friendly DDs. Since he's too close to the friendly DDs, it's just free damage for me. It's a win-win. Now, while all this is going on, note the western flank. There's actually nobody on the western flank. We've got basically aircraft carriers that are stalling out the west. So we need to try and rotate quickly through the eastern side of the map and maybe, you know, cut across the middle to address the issue. I don't want to leave the New York and the friendly aircraft carriers to defend. Remember, this was basically the day the aircraft carriers came out and with the rework, so they're not really that good. And let's be honest, even if this video was recorded today, they still wouldn't be that good on average. Players are still trying to get used to just the way the carrier works in relation to the AA systems. But enemy Congo, all the enemies on this flank have retreated. They recognize that this was the power flank, and because they recognize this is the power flank, they might have given the call for the other side to rush forward. There is an enemy DD that was last spotted roughly in the center of the map. Oh, by the way, just wanted to assign the sector, the primary sector, to the sector facing the enemy aircraft carrier attack direction, hoping to contribute to prevent the friendly Clemson, the Podvoisky, and the friendly Pan-Asian DD from being spotted and, taken out. And looks like they will indeed succeed in discouraging the aircraft carrier. And I'm just going to continue moving forward. Note the smoke. There's smoke north of the enemy's base and that island. So to me, that communicates at least one of the enemy DDs headed towards the center of the map. Now, I could go south and go directly into the base. If I go to the base, we could have the ability to contest it. But the enemy has a really good defensive island positioning on the other side. So I want to try and take away that cover so that when my teammates actually try and capture, they can have success. Now, unfortunately, this friendly DD sort of boxing me out. I don't really want to go this direction. So I have to maneuver to avoid him. While this is going on, just assist with a little bit of damage. A fire is absolutely a great sign, and I can't wait to see more of it. Looks like the enemy DD actually pushed forward a little bit quicker than I was expecting. That Guremyashi is very dangerous. Both its torpedoes and its gun systems are actually outstanding. So I want to at least keep my head on a swivel. I could choose to use Hydro, but I don't have an aircraft to scout this. This clearly DD moving into position. So I'm going to use the only tool that I have. I'm going to use my hydroacoustic, and I'm going to try and burst through this gap and go after the Guremyashi very quickly. I don't want him to be able to react. Now, I do have torpedoes on this, but torpedoes are pretty crappy. So as we round the island, he does send torpedoes. I'm going to make sure I fit just safely in the gap. We lost one of the friendly aircraft carriers, unfortunate. That's going to make it a little bit harder. Still going to engage the Guremyashi as he's obviously maneuvering, and this is pretty dangerous for him. He has last stand, but I would love to finish him off quickly. Now, the reload is not as fast as you would like, but I have more than enough distance, plus I have hydroacoustic. I won't die to a ambush. We get a nice big salvo once again. I just want to push and kill him. And yeah, I've got the assistance of a friendly cat on my keyboard during all of this, and that's why I'm pressing the WASD stuff, and oh, okay, there we go. This should be the finishing shot. It is. Hydro still up, and there's no way he could have dropped torpedoes without Hydro spotting it. So I'm going to turn back to the enemy team, who did try to establish a defense. Now, the reason I made this comment that the southern point is defensible, surprisingly, that corner, that northwest corner with the island, I was able to make use of it during another game similar to this, where both sides sort of skipped each other and sailed to the enemy base. I was able to successfully defend while my team captured the enemy base. So that position is a power position for the southern spawn, and I want to try and contribute without obviously dying, and we need to attempt to eliminate some of these ships that pushed forward and took out the friendly Langley. And oh, for a split second, the enemy DD is spotted, and you better believe every single second an enemy DD is spotted, I am looking to kill it. They are way too strong. Way too strong. And okay, there we go. 9.4. Not bad. Maybe not as much lead as I was expecting. Yep. It is German. So the early German tier, they're very shallow in the water. They're sort of Japanese and Pan-Asian in that regard. You've got to be very precise with your aiming, and the Kirov can. I just have to actually hit the target, and there we go. There we go. Friendly Kresny Kareem should easily finish him off. Very nice, Nathan. Got some battleships, no big deal. I am about to sail into a broadside, and I was like, what the? How is a Marblehead here? And I want to be very aware. I've got multiple flanks that the enemy could fire on me, plus enemy aircraft carrier. So I've got to try and angle when neither side can punish. While all that's going on, keep the primary sector facing the incoming enemy aircraft carrier and hope at this point that my flak does some damage, because the continuous damage, this was day one with the patch, it's pretty awful. But the enemy aircraft carrier, he's still learning at this point, not able to avoid, and I decide, okay, I can afford to use my damage control. Nothing's going to stick and burn. We've got to address the Emerald. We've got to address the Marblehead. This was a really bad spot because I am the only target that's super vulnerable in between 3 or 4 enemies. But we got this Emerald. He looks to be pretty broadside, so I'm going to unload my HE, do a hard switch to AP. I didn't want to switch before. We do get the Citadel either way. It is a light cruiser for the Brits. Almost no armor for the Citadel, so high explosive, absolutely. But AP is really where we finish off the target. Oh, yes! Get that devastating strike. And now I could work on the Clemson, who is, unfortunately, about to finish off the New York. It's always interesting. I love mid-tier because the potential of the ship is there to carry, but most people can't. So it ends up feeling very... I'm like rushing around, trying to put out a million different fires so we can win the game. I get the last little shot. The New York secondary finishes off the target. Unfortunately, the New York dies too. And we've got this Wyoming pushing forward. Thankfully, the Wyoming, he's distracted. I think he's actually firing on the Miyogi, I want to say. So I'm going to move forward through this gap, firing on him, hoping to get a fire, at least. But my real goal is to go 1 versus 1. I don't want to accidentally sail in front of the Marblehead and some enemy battleship that isn't the Wyoming fired on me. But I don't want to accidentally sail and engage both of these targets. I want to minimize the threat to my ship by maximizing the island line of sight blocking. And I'm really close to switching to the Marblehead because, you know, the battleship is cool and all, but the Marblehead is on the doorsteps, and he's right in front of me. So once again, just like the Emerald, unload my high explosive, hard switch to AP. We're going to aim at the waterline. This is a light cruiser. I have 180 millimeters. This should be easy, easy citadels. And he's going to fire high explosive. I fire at the waterline and 3 citadels immediately. Feel pretty confident about this. I do aggressively put out the fire because I do feel like this is the last salvo. And just make sure the angling is appropriate. Oh yeah! See you later, Marblehead. Only took probably 2,000 or 3,000 damage, killing off another target. And we are keeping the team in the game, just barely. This Wyoming is pretty low in the center, and he's under attack by the friendly Langley, but once again, this is pretty early in the CV rework. This was day 1. I'm going to say that the friendly CV's not very good. So I'm going to have to try and do some damage on this guy. And just making a note of the enemy's deploy. Got a friendly Clemson. That's the only person on their base. The friendly DD, Judge 2. There's so many judges, by the way, on the North American server. Judge 2 was able to torpedo the Wyoming. And I'm going to move forward. Now, we actually have held the capture long enough that the tick has gone in our favor. However, we've got DDs that could easily be spotted by the aircraft carriers, who could then have assisted damage from the friendly battleship and the friendly cruiser. So I obviously want to try and discourage this, and I expect that the enemy aircraft carrier will eventually spot the Clemson, who is either in smoke or otherwise, and he will disrupt our ability to capture. So I'm just on a direct course to assist. Now the Kirov is very vulnerable to fire. It has a very vulnerable citadel. It's very tall in the water. It has not as much concealment as you would hope. And yes, you just saw that the friendly Clemson decided to leave the capture because the game wasn't undecided enough. We've got to throw away that little bit of advantage, and we have to leave it up to chance, because that's the great thing about random battles. People love to not do the right thing. They love to choose the choice that makes it the hardest, and they haven't done anything really to contribute to carrying. So why would we expect that right now, right? I hope that they don't do something stupid, but I don't know that they won't. So I'm continuously moving towards the southern side. There is one enemy ship that hasn't been spotted. It's the Hosho. And I don't know for sure where that Hosho could be. But I expect either the aircraft carrier is maybe to the west. Maybe he's pushed up a little bit faster. Well, we did see the Hosho attack squadron first sighted on the western side, the southwest side. So I'm expecting the enemy aircraft carrier that isn't spotted to just be maybe northwest of the enemy's exact location right now. That's roughly where I expect it to be. And it's a good idea to try and make note of that. And of course, one of the DDs dies. Big shocker there. Enemy Langley, stationary in the open, super slow. I'll be able to easily punish this guy. Plus, the friendly is sending deep water torpedoes. Oh, we actually citadel him from that position, but unfortunately, my momentum drags me over to the island, which is going to block the line of sight. So I have to wait here stupidly and rely on my teammates to do their job. While that's going on, it looks like an Omaha is actually going to flash across the screen. Now, I could switch to AP. And after I see that I don't lead the target as well as I should have, I switch to AP. I want to try and finish him off quickly. I don't want him to try and react, and I don't want him to finish the friendly DD. So, oh, it's going to be close. Omaha's probably going to one more shot. We're just the sniper over here. Of course, we lose the friendly, but all that's left is the Congo and the enemy aircraft carrier, and there's about 1 minute and 30 left. Now, I don't believe I can finish off the enemy Congo. I could theoretically rely on my AA to protect me and shoot the enemy Hosho, but I don't have him spotted. So in the moment, instead of, sailing out here looking for the Hosho, because it's very clear where he is, in fact, because we saw his squadron literally just land directly on the aircraft carrier. All we see, the only thing we don't see is the aircraft carrier. I read it, though, that the enemy Congo was going to counter me and try and citadel me and finish the game right there. If I went through that gap, he was going to go that way. So instead, I'm going to do a hard turn. I'm going to actually pull a Notser, a tactical Notser, and tuck myself as deep against this island as I can. Obviously, this is making me vulnerable to the enemy aircraft carrier, but I'm more relying on the 40 seconds that I have to survive rather than doing this perfectly, because it is a tier 4 aircraft carrier. They don't have the kind of consistent damage that you would expect, but of course I do run into the island and just saying hey to this small little village. So I would love the friendly aircraft carrier to keep the Congo spotted. This could allow me to be a little bit more aggressive in my positioning. I just don't know where he could be. He could have exited out right in front of me, and it could be, a blap situation. Less than 10 seconds. I just want to win the game, and I just want to survive. Please, please don't try and shoot me. Looks like we're able to stay alive, and we won that game. Somehow, some way, the Kirov was able to carry the team to victory. I loved this game. All those light cruisers showing that broadside. Give me that AP. 115,000 damage done, 4 kills, not a fifth for Kraken. 2,361 base XP, super carry. Hope you enjoyed this game. Leave in the comments what you think. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.